Here is an interesting fact. Did you know that some of the major findings in the history of nutritional science were based on studies in animals? In fact, nearly all the vitamins were discovered via experiments in certain animals. Chickens for vitamins B1, guinea pigs for vitamin C, and cows and rats for vitamin A. Let's discuss animal experiments in a bit more detail. In most animal experiments, animals are used as a model system for humans. For example, many studies are done in rats and mice, and that's not because we are interested in rats and mice as such, but because the studies in rats and mice can teach us something about humans. But that means, though, that if the research question can be addressed via studies in human subjects, then you shouldn't do an animal experiment, you should do a study in humans. This is very important. In principle, an animal experiment should only be done if the research question cannot be appropriately addressed via studies in humans. And the majority of animal experiments actually conform to that rule, but not all do. I got to be honest about that. I just mentioned rats and mice, but in theory, many other types of animals can be used: chickens, pigs, ferrets, zebrafish, dogs, and even monkeys. Which animal should be used depends on several factors, including suitability, availability, affordability, and last but not least, ethical considerations. Let's discuss these issues individually. Starting with suitability. For example, it would be impossible to study the effect of vitamin C deficiency in most animals because they make vitamin C themselves. So, a mouse is an unsuitable model to study vitamin C deficiency. Instead, we can much better use guinea pigs, which, similar to humans, are also not able to make vitamin C. With respect to availability and affordability, it's obvious that these factors plays an important role in deciding what animal to use. Imagine that for a certain research question, pigs are a little bit more suitable than rats, but pigs are much more expensive than rats, which may cause the researcher to give preference to rats. And finally, we have to pay attention to ethical considerations. Basically, ethical considerations involve the weighing of the potential value of the animal experiment for mankind versus the relative discomfort and possibly pain the study will inflict on the animals. It's obviously a very difficult and delicate consideration. In all countries, animal experiments first need to be approved by an ethical review board, which in a way is similar to the review board that evaluates studies in human subjects. The role of such a review board or ethical committee is to safeguard responsible research with animals. In the Netherlands and other European countries, the system to obtain ethical approval for animal experiments is relatively stringent and has become more stringent over the years. For example, in June 2018, the Dutch Minister of Education, Culture and Science announced the intention to gradually phase out studies using monkeys. Currently, a small number of monkeys are still being used in studies on drugs against tuberculosis and HIV. So, in brief, animals are sometimes used to answer research questions that cannot be addressed via studies in humans. Which type of animal should be used depends on several factors, but in practice, most animal experiments are done in rats and mice. Thank you.